Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the PowettPlay Podcast. It's me, Jordan Shannon, and as always, I'm joined by Kieran Powell. How are you, Kai?
Not too bad. A bit tired from all the travels, but good otherwise. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you very much. So you've been travelling again, you're back in London now, yeah?
Yep. Back in what I thought was summer, but pilot when we landed, the pilot said, "Oh, I've got good news. It's 10 degrees," and everyone on the plane was like, "We just come from Miami. Like, what? How is that
How?
good news?
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
lost
explain
we've
that to
lost 20 degrees overnight."
me. On this episode here, we want to look at, well, you've discussed it. I know we mentioned it in the last pod about the series versus Australia, the West Indies series against Australia, and how we want to, you propose a 28-man squad and a bit of a training, a big, a big training sort of plan, really, to whittle down into the series. So I'll start with obviously reeling out the names of the 28 players that you picked, and then we'll slowly break down that into some of the reasons and obviously what we're looking into or what you're looking to get from this sort of training camp as well. So without further ado, I'll get stuck in. So the 28 you've gone with Craig Brathwaite, John Campbell, Alec Athanaze, Brandon King, Justine Greaves, Shea Hope, Roston Chase, Kemar Roach, Jamel Warrican, Jaden Seals, Shamar Joseph, Kevlin Anderson, Kevin Hodge, Anderson Phillip, Alzari Joseph, Tevin Imlach, Mikhail Louis, John Jeremiah, Shakir Paris, Gudakesh Moti, Carrie Pierre, Joshua Bishop, Joshua Da Silva, Johan Lane, Marquino Minley, Matthew Ford, Akeem Jordan, and Ronaldo Ali Mohammed. So that's the 28 there.
Yep. For me, the reason why it's such an expanded squad is because it's multifaceted. I mean, obviously the West Indies has a white ball tour, well, two white ball tours,
Yep.
Ireland and the UK, and so I think that we need to have players getting as much preparation as possible. So
Yep.
whilst some guys that have been named in that 28-man squad are in the ODI squad, they will be playing cricket. Obviously, it's not red ball cricket, but they will be actively
Yep.
playing international cricket, and so
Yep.
they will be exposed to still the highest form of the game. Whereas I want the other guys to have an extensive preparation camp. For me, it should be a 3 week camp with the first 10 days getting guys up to speed in terms of practice sessions, skill sessions, SNC, all these other various things. Um, and then by the end of that, I'm assuming that the guys from the ODI team, the management staff, etc., should be back in the Caribbean because I think the series is at the end of June, if I'm not mistaken. The Australia series is it the end of June or July?
I think it starts in July. So June, yeah,
Yeah,
the end of June going into July, yeah.
perfect. So as I said, like a 3 week camp. That first 10 days, you sort of allow for the guys that aren't in the ODI squad to have an extensive preparation camp while the other guys are
Yeah.
playing that series in the UK. They come back and join. I'd like to see two matches being played after that. A 3 day match followed by a 4 day match. If you look at the squads, obviously it's got a vast number of fast bowlers,
Yeah.
spin bowling options. So you cover all bases, and
Yeah.
you've got more than enough batters that should be in and around not only the Test team but the future of West Indies cricket. So that's
Yeah.
how I sort of selected this squad so that guys can start to get a feel of what the international preparation is like for a West
Yeah.
Indies team. Um, Hard, intense cricket over those two matches because you've got enough bowlers so that you can't have guys going through the motions because ultimately the team still hasn't been selected yet. And
No.
so you want guys to compete for places. You want guys to be bowling and hitting their stride going into a
Yeah.
test series. So skills, you could see skills starting to come into play. You could see guys, the pace levels starting to increase, getting ready for that test series. And so I think that this allows for me the best chance of everyone involved to have some level of high
Yeah.
quality preparation going into a series like this. I would also, again, and this is from my vantage point, get the head coaches from the six regional franchises to come in and be a part of this preparation
Great
period
shout.
because I think that it's important that the regional franchises has some sort of connection to the international team to know what the standards are in terms of preparation,
Yeah.
expectations, demands, etc. So that they can then take that back to their regional franchises as well, especially with the likes of head coach Darren Sammy being away in the UK for the first part of the camp. I think that these guys can come in and be hands-on, um, provide, I guess, insight on not only their players, but how they look at other players from other regional teams and understanding their weaknesses and how they try and plan against them so
Yeah.
that the camp can have full benefit. And these guys are already contracted to the regional boards via CW anyway. So it's not as if it's an extra
Extra
cost to
top. Yeah.
bring them in. It's more so just travel, housing, and meal allowance type of thing. So
Yeah.
I think that would be for me the best route to go about it. What is going to be very important, however, in this preparation camp are the pitches. Um, I think that
Yeah.
for me, playing regional cricket, you tend to find that the pitches are generally underprepared. Hence, why spinners take that many wickets in regional cricket, but
Yeah.
don't do as well in international cricket in the Caribbean. So, for these matches, I would like to see the pitches be prepared for at a minimum 7 days. Um, so that you know that you have good solid pitches, a good covering of
Yeah.
grass, obviously with the heavy roller for the first maybe day or two to bind the surface, and then the mid-sized roller for maybe the next 2 days, and then you're just using a small roller for touch-ups and sprinkling for the rest of the 3 days of that 7 day period. So you know that you have a good cricket wicket where guys can come and perform, batters can, if they have good enough techniques, they can get through and make runs. Bowlers, there's something there for you throughout the course of the game, and you don't have to worry about it to be a slow, benign pitch where only spinners stand a chance.
Yeah, I think the one or two things I wanted to pick up on then is the one that you mentioned there about getting the coaches from the regional setups involved. It goes back to last week when we discussed about clarity, and and you know you're talking where as a you know as a West Indies overall, you're bringing in that consistency. You know, you're talking about what we want out of West Indies cricket, and it goes back then to the respective regions, and then it naturally gets passed down, and you're learning. And I think that you mentioned as well about the getting all the coaches together. It can only benefit West Indies as a whole because they're sharing these ideas and naturally, like you're using everybody's experience to get, you know, especially without Darren Sammy there at the first, like initially, like I think it's a really, really good idea. It benefits everybody from that. And you're getting everybody involved, and it's the clarity aspect to it, and it's that clear messaging. The only thing I wanted to pick up on in terms of that you mentioned there from a wicket perspective is have they got the resource to go and do something like that though?
Well, there are groundsmen. There are more than enough groundsmen. So,
Yeah.
for example, if this camp is held in Antigua, which I think is more likely the case, you can have a situation where the team is practicing at Coolidge, but the matches are being played at the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium.
Right.
So
Okay.
you've got the ground staff at the Sir Vivian
Yeah.
Richards Stadium just constantly working on the pitch
Yeah.
to your demands. Like you're requesting XYZ types
Yeah.
of pitches. Um, and so it's just for them to produce it because they would have nothing else happening in that period that's stopping them from, preparing this
Yeah.
pitch. So
Yeah, and going back to obviously the 28 that you've named, when we was going through that, and you mentioned obviously to me the 28 that you've picked is, I always remember listening to some of the great Australian sides of past, and they speak about how you're training with your stateside, and as soon as you get into that group of, and from an international perspective, the mindset towards training just completely switches, and you realise that really what it takes at that next level. And you look at some of the younger seamers that you've mentioned, to be in that environment um with Jaden Seals and to be in it with Kemar Roach, etc. Like it's going to be really beneficial for them to be around them. And you're picking up trick, it's that experience and it's that feedback back into them to help them. And I think that, to have that real mixture within there, and also like it allows them to put their hand up, and if when you're training, you're mixing with these players. You want to be bowling against the best batter And you're thinking, right, so if I nick him off here, like it's a big thing for me. Then it breeds confidence, it breeds a lot more. So I think the way that you broke down that squad and with the real mixture of obviously the youth and then obviously the experience, it's going to be a massive benefit, ideally.
100%. And then that's where you also have the likes of, not only these coaches, but I guess mentors and
Yes.
different types of people around the region that can come in and also add to what's happening. You look at the likes of an Otis Gibson or Corey Collymore. One of those guys have obviously been in and around a West Indies team before. Obviously, Pedro Collins is the head coach of CCC. You look at I sent you a video of Viv Richards at the PSL
Yeah.
the other day. Being a mentor. My entire career as a Leeward Islander, it's very sad that
Very sad.
as a team, the team has never been, I guess, spoken to by him. Obviously, I would have met him on a few occasions, playing for the West Indies, etc. But I just think that someone that has that amount of knowledge, that amount of information on the game, and someone that is the embodiment of a Leeward Islander, you'd think that these are the types of people that you want coming in and speaking to the team. Obviously, again, not just a Leeward Islander, but if not the greatest batsman to have ever played the game, he's definitely top three. When you talk about box office, stats, heart, determination, skill,
Everything.
everything you could want. And it's people like these that can play a big role in reviving West Indies cricket.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, what they have done for the game during their playing careers is next world,
Yeah.
outstanding. But what they can do to help revive West Indies cricket is even more, um, I guess, potentially beneficial.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at, for example, someone in Antigua, in Joel Andrew, who everyone has, I mean, obviously gotten the opportunity to see now and see his obvious talent. I would love for, someone like a Viv Richards, a Sir Vivian Richards, sorry, to be his mentor, his
Yeah.
guiding rock, because they come from the same place. They would have understood the same things in more ways than one. And if it's one person that can help him to, I guess, navigate through the cricketing world in spectacular
Yeah.
fashion, mind you, it would be a Sir Vivian Richards. So,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think like having these guys around, especially in a setting like this where you have lots of inexperienced players as well as a
Yeah.
mix of experienced players and the past greats, it can only be beneficial for West Indies cricket on a whole.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest with you, when you sent me the video and you said that, all the years you played, and it was quite sad because it, it would be such an inspiring from a mentorship perspective, which you speak about. Like, he's involved in the PSL and it's fantastic for the people, the players in the respective team that he's involved in to be speaking with and like using his knowledge is fantastic. But it should be used closer to home. You think of the cup finals that you've played in, the big key 4 day games, or anything that you've played in of any sort of real significance. You should be plugging into somebody like that because every single you look at that for instance, you're saying now that list of 28. You've got players who've played 50 test matches, you've got players who haven't played any. And each and every one of them will be able to get something out of him, whether even a batter or a bowler, because you talk about occasions, you're talking about from a leadership perspective, you're talking about managing pressure, working under pressure. And he's had it all. So there's so much to get from him. And it is a shame that we're not plugging into the likes of Sir Vivian Richards and all the others, which we have spoke about, lots and lots. But when you have these camps and you've got these, the structure in place where you've got various, you get your 3 day game, you mentioned your 4 day game, and you'll have your fast bowlers working together and your batters. Like you need that environment, and it becomes a real um, team spirited situation when you're plugging into this and you're helping people. Like it's just going to help and benefit the cricket overall.
100%. And so, obviously, if these types of individuals could be
Yeah,
around, that will obviously, as I said, only benefit West Indies cricket. So, I mean, that's my take on, I guess, what the preparation camp should be, who
yeah,
should be involved, how it should be operated. I'm not sure whether they will go for such an extended or expanded squad, but I mean, obviously, as I said, given the fact that probably anywhere from 8 to 10 of those guys may be missing through to whether it be ODI cricket, county cricket, whatever the case
Yeah,
is, then you're talking about just 18 guys. So I think it works itself out in the end.
yeah, definitely. I kind of wanted to touch on as well the rumor that they'd been discussing the sort of an interview process for the next captaincy. Um, and obviously this is on the report, so this is all we've heard, in terms of out there in the press and things. What was your sort of initial thoughts when something like that was leaked?
I've heard of not enough information, but this is probably too much information. Like
Yeah,
there's certain things that shouldn't be made public knowledge. I mean, and from I guess my very vague understanding of what's happened or happening, this is sort of a leak from I guess within the board as opposed to
yeah,
the the persons themselves that were interviewed, which makes it even more puzzling for me because like, there's certain things that people shouldn't know
yeah.
that's
Totally
happened. You
agree.
know, if you've selected a captain, you're gonna have to select a captain anyway.
Yeah,
There was no such thing done when Shea Hope was named T20 captain.
no,
There's nothing about interview process with, let's say, a Shea Hope, Chauvin, Rutherford, whatever the case
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
whoever may be deemed viable options. So I found this a bit puzzling. I also found the names that that were put up for captaincy even more puzzling than the fact that there was a leak as to those people being interviewed
Yeah.
because I think some of them naturally ruled themselves out. I mean, I'm very good friends with Jamel Warrican. Jamel Warrican's never captained a team that I know of in my life. So how can
Yeah,
he then just become the West Indies captain? Captaincy is not something that you just do. Like it's
yeah,
something that you have to be trained in.
yeah,
Captaincy is more so, even more so than cricket.
yeah,
Captaincy is man management, understanding your players, having a connection with all of your players and being able to get the best out of them in any given situation and making them feel as though they can achieve things above, I guess, their potential skill set that they would normally do.
yeah,
And so for me personally, I I wouldn't have gone through this process. I would make Roston Chase the test match captain. I think that it was absolutely crazy that he wasn't in the test team for these number of years that he hasn't been in the test team.
no,
Because if you're looking for um, someone that can bat, someone that can bowl, someone that can field, someone that understands the game,
yeah.
you look at
Experience.
the way he's adapted his game across formats across the years, and he just always finds a way. Sometimes he doesn't necessarily have I guess the best series or obviously anyone may have a bad year or two, but he's still a very experienced and a very smart cricketer and is
Yeah,
someone that I think that understands and reads the game well. Also, you look at from a coaching standpoint, he's someone that plays for St. Lucia in the CPL and has worked with Darren Sammy for a number of years now. So
yeah,
they will have a good understanding of each other and a close working
yeah.
relationship, just as Darren Sammy seems to have built up with Shea Hope and has extended that over into
Exactly. Yeah,
the T20 side of things. So I think from that perspective, that makes him the most viable candidate for me. I mean, he's obviously also played 49 test matches, so he's not someone that's
correct. Yeah,
new. I mean, obviously he hasn't played for a while, but he's not someone that's new to test cricket.
no,
Um, I've seen names like Tevin Imlach, Joshua De Silva, Jomel Warwick, and Justin Graves, etc., being floated as well. But for me, as I said, I'd go with Roston Chase because I think Roston is at the age now, I think he's 32, 33, where you can still probably get a good solid 3, 4 years of cricket out of him.
yeah,
And that gives you time to now go and groom and mold an ex-captain. I
yeah,
don't. I mean, I've seen some people saying that Joshua De Silva should be it, but he's just been dropped for I guess his performances with the bat. So you don't want to bring someone back into a team having just been dropped and then give them the added responsibility of captaincy when they weren't making runs already. You know, you want them to be settled in their game
yeah,
to be able to go and take over a position like that.
yeah.
So
Definitely.
for me, he's not in, I guess, the best place right now to look at even being considered as captain. Tevin Imlak,
To
that
experience.
doesn't that doesn't need to be
No,
touched.
no,
No.
no.
Jamel Warrick, I've already touched on. Justin Graves, I think again around the same age as Roston Chase. Seems to be that he's someone that they're going to go forward with. I think that he's a very, very smart cricketer, understands himself and his game very well, and he's playing the best cricket of his life. At this point in time, you look at regionally, he's scored some 6 centuries this season
Yeah,
across formats, along with the test century. So he scored 7 centuries this season. So definitely season of his life. Um, I think that he's someone that could be short term made a
exactly what I'm going to say.
a vice captain for Austin Chase.
Exactly that. Exactly what I
I
was going to
think
say.
that's the position that would suit a Justin
Perfect.
Graves, and he
Yeah,
can continue to grow into his game.
yeah,
Because again, it can even be a situation where, let's say, in 3 years' time, you want to move on from a Roston Chase. Justin Graves will still be at an age where he'll just be 33, around
yeah,
the age that Roston is now. So you can also get an next 3 years out of him,
yeah,
and then you can groom. So you have like a path in a way you can say, okay, these two guys can take us over the next 6 years, and then you start grooming someone after Justin Graves to take up that leadership role after that. So that's how I would look at it
yeah,
currently.
yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head, spot on with that there with Ross. And one thing, and I don't want to it sound like it's from a bias perspective, but I think with Ross, I want him in that side because of the balance he gives. And you've always, if you're going to go with, we know they've got the left arm spinners options, with Moti and with Jamel Warrican. You've got your off spin option there, which I think, for right arm off spin orthodox from that side of things. You've got the nice balance, the experience. I love that he's been playing in the T20 franchise stuff recently. Gives him a different thing. It's added more experience and ammunition to his game. Although, yes, it's different to playing Test cricket, but it's working with people. It's picking up, management, leadership. When you're around different environments, you do pick up stuff like that. So I think the way you've explained that about Roston is spot on, and I love the idea about your earmarking again. That following from the Justin Greaves situation there, form of his life. Go and keep doing that, and you can work as vice captain because that's what we see down the line. The thing that disappoints me with this stuff that's come from the board is, and all the players that I mentioned there is especially with Joshua De Silva, he's already feeling there's a lot of talk of obviously him being dropped and stuff. And now it's in the public domain as such that he's been interviewed and he might not get the role as captain. It's just more negativity towards that situation, and it just shouldn't happen. Like you've all been in life where you put yourself forward for an opportunity and you don't get it, and it is hard to take in life things like that. But you you don't need it you don't need people to know that, and you putting yourself forward, that's it should be private. You should get your feedback and you should have to take it on board. It should be private.
Did these guys put themselves forward,
Well, don't know.
or
That's it. Nobody knows, did they?
was the West Indies board nominate these 6 guys? If so, why 6 people? Like, how do you get to that many people? Why do you want that many people interviewing for a job? Like, will that potentially cause rifts within the team,
Ex-
or why did he get it
exactly.
against? Why did I?
Exactly.
There's so many loose ends to that I
Loads.
just don't understand.
Exactly. So that's something that the six people could sit down together and go, I know that, and how did yours go then? And what did you it's not right. It's just not,
It's
it's unprofessional. It's massively unprofessional.
it's just puzzling to me. Like, there's so many questions that I have, like, as a spin-off of that. But I mean, obviously, I guess these things sort of figure themselves out in the end. There will be a captain. The
Yeah.
world will go on. Um, if I'm led to think that I'm right, and Hope will be in the test team as the wicket keeper, why was Joshua De Silva and Tevin Imlach interviewed? This it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah,
levels of
exactly.
complexity to this
Yeah.
thing that should be a very simple process. So no, let's wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's just a bit disappointing. I find it just disappointing and frustrating from a Cricket West Indies perspective because they seem to always drop themselves in it. And it always just, the perception out there is just not professional. It's just, you know, this is an organization and you've got people's careers. You've got to be tighter. You've got to be, more business-like in that respect.
Yeah, I was thinking of ratios in terms of I guess, how things are happening at a CWA level. And there's no organization that does everything badly. That's not what we're saying at all.
Yeah. No, no, no. I totally, yeah.
Obviously, the creation of um, the emerging talent league, the breakout league,
Yeah.
various other things. You've got, I guess, a few A-team games and series happening now. So, lots of small little things happening in and around West Indies cricket that, are signaling for opportunities created for players. But just on a managerial side of things, like the operations of the organization, it's all over the place at the moment. And you just like, first of all, I don't think that should have ever been leaked. Um, you don't put out statements on in the middle of the week or on the weekend. You put these things out on top of the week so you can gain traction. It's just it's puzzling. It's so many different things.
No, I understand. And like you said, I don't want it to sound like we have been, it's not all negativity like you mentioned. But it is puzzling, and I'm sure we'll discuss one because they are gonna have to name one at some, sooner rather than later.
Well, we've already named Rostin Chase, so we've taken care of that for them.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah, just name him. Do it.
And Justin Groves is the voice captain. So
Yeah.
you've heard here first from CWI Media via the PowettPlay Podcast.
Exactly. And let us know. Do you know what? In the comments, because we do want, we do want you to like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know in your comments if you agree with us. And if you don't agree with us, which is totally fine, let us know what you think. Let us know who you think should be doing it and the reasons as to why. Because that's what we want to get in the comments, and we'll discuss it in the next pod. We'll see what you all think. And see, let us know what you think about the 28-man squad in terms of, Kieran's plans of the 3-day games and the 4-day games and what you want to get out of it. And also from a mentorship perspective, who else would you like to see involved from that side of things? Because, the greats of the game, they're playing, they've all played for the West Indies. They're all available, they're available and they want, sure, and they want to be involved. So who would you like to see involved from that mentor side of things as well?
One last thing away from the cricket, as you guys would have seen me sipping away for the entire episode. Emma and I have created our own hydration beverage, a la Prime, Gatorade, Body Armor, all these things. This is my personal favorite flavor, apple cherry cinnamon. It's called AYQ Beverages. You can find us at ayqbeverages.com, and we are going to be launching this summer globally. You can find us if you're in the US, you can find us on walmart.com. Obviously, dates will be released as to when. We're in discussions with quite a few retailers in the UK and Europe. So I'll drop some more information on that part. And we've just signed a massive distribution agreement with a company in the GCC that distributes for people like Mr. Beast, his chocolate feastables, and Prime out in all of the GCC, and we'll be available in India as well. So very big summer ahead. We've been working on this for 2.5 years now. We've got 2 flavors, the apple cherry cinnamon and the orange mango turmeric.
He's my favorite.
Yep. We've got some more flavors coming as well as iced teas and energy drinks as well. So stay tuned. We're really excited about this and to have such amazing distribution partners and channels. So, look forward to, I guess, people's feedback once we hit stores this summer.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm an orange and mango turmeric fan. That's my favorite. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. But yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, stay tuned, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you all soon. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.